At 2 a.m., my wife texted, "I don't love you anymore." What I discovered after changed. So here's how my life flipped upside down. I'm Jake and my wife, ex-wife in progress I guess, is Madison. We've been together for almost 10 years, married for 6. On paper, we looked like the Pinterest version of a happy couple. Nice house in the suburbs, decent jobs, 2 golden retrievers instead of kids, her choice, not mine. My parents, Mark and Linda, adored her. My younger brother Tyler always joked that she was too hot for me, which used to sting, but I'd laugh it off. I thought we were solid. Then one night, at 2 a.m., I get this text from her while she's at her friend Chloe's bachelorette party. "I don't love you anymore." Just like that. No context. No explanation. Just a digital knife to the chest. I remember sitting up in bed, staring at my phone, thinking it was some kind of sick joke. I called. No answer. I texted back. "What are you talking about?" "Nothing." Finally, she replies. "Forget I said that. I'm drunk. Ignore me." The next morning, she waltzes into the house like nothing happened. Sunglasses, messy bun, Starbucks cup in hand. She kisses the dogs, avoids eye contact with me, and then says, "Jake, I was blacked out. I don't even remember sending that text. You seriously need to relax. You're so dramatic sometimes." That was the first time I started looking at her differently. Not because of the text alone, but because of the way she dismissed it, like my feelings were just background noise. At the time, I convinced myself she was just drunk and stupid. But deep down, something in me broke. I didn't realize it then, but that was the first crack in the facade. And once a crack forms, it doesn't take much for the whole damn wall to collapse. Fast forward about 3 weeks after the "I don't love you" drunk text incident. I tried to shake it off, but Madison had been acting off. Always too tired, always glued to her phone, laughing at texts she wouldn't show me. When I asked, she'd snap, "God, Jake, you're paranoid. Maybe you should get a hobby instead of hovering over me." Classic deflection. But my gut knew something wasn't right. The real tipping point came one Friday night. She told me she was having a girls' wine night at Chloe's again. I didn't argue. Instead, I poured myself a whiskey and tried to zone out with Call of Duty. Around midnight, I realized Madison's iPad was still on the couch. Now, before anyone jumps on me, I wasn't looking for trouble. But I swear to God, her iPad just lit up on its own. A notification from Snapchat. Username: jstrong_89. Normally, I would have ignored it. But the preview said, "Can't stop thinking about your body last night. When's round 2? My stomach dropped. My hands literally shook. Against every ounce of better judgment, I opened the app. And there it was, messages, photos, even videos. Some of them were pretty tame, just flirty texts. But then I saw him. Shirtless mirror selfies. Then her. Madison. My wife. In lingerie I'd never even seen before. One pic of her lying on a hotel bed, caption, "Waiting for you, big man." I wanted to vomit. I wanted to scream. I wanted to smash that iPad into a million pieces. But the worst part? One of the videos. It wasn't full-on porn, but enough to burn into my brain forever. Her voice, breathy, moaning his name. Not mine. His. I sat there in the dark living room, whiskey glass untouched, watching my entire marriage dissolve in real time. My first thought wasn't even anger. It was, what the hell is wrong with me that she needs someone else? I know that's not logical. But when you love someone that deeply, betrayal doesn't just feel like a crime against you. It feels like proof that you were never enough. She strolled in around 1:30 a.m., smelling like tequila and perfume, laughing to herself as she kicked off her heels. I was sitting at the kitchen table, iPad in front of me like a loaded gun. "Hey babe," she said casually, like she hadn't just blown up our marriage. "Why are you up?" I didn't answer. I just spun the iPad around so she could see the open Snapchat thread. Her face drained of color so fast it was almost comical. Where did you, Jake? That's private! She stammered, grabbing for it. Private? I snapped, standing up so fast my chair scraped the floor. You're sending lingerie pics and hotel room selfies to some dude named Jay Strong. That's what you call private? She crossed her arms, eyes darting everywhere but my face. You're blowing this way out of proportion. It's just flirting. Just stupid fun. Nothing serious. I laughed, bitter and broken. Nothing serious? You called him big man. You've never called me that. You're lying right to my face, Madison. She flipped the switch, defensive to bitch you in 2 seconds flat. God, Jake, you're so insecure. No wonder I can't breathe in this marriage. You monitor me, you hover, you act like I'm your property. Do you even hear yourself? Don't you dare, I said, pointing at her. Don't you dare make this about me. You sent those pictures. You booked the hotel. You told me you loved me, then told him you couldn't wait to see him again. You're a liar and a cheater, Madison. Her lip curled. You know what? Maybe if you weren't so boring, always working, always playing video games, always the same old routine, I wouldn't have needed a little excitement. Maybe Jay actually knows how to make a woman feel alive. That one hit me like a sledgehammer. She knew exactly where to strike. I felt heat behind my eyes, but I refused to cry in front of her. You're unbelievable, I whispered. I gave you everything. And this is what I get? Some drunk text at 2 a.m. that you don't love me, then this circus of lies? You're pathetic. She didn't apologize. She didn't even look guilty. She just rolled her eyes and muttered, Whatever, Jake. You're overreacting. It's not like I'm in love with him. That was the moment I realized the woman I thought I married wasn't standing in front of me anymore. After she stormed upstairs, I just sat there in the kitchen, staring at the wood grain on the table like it had answers. My chest felt like someone had wrapped barbed wire around it and kept pulling tighter. I didn't sleep that night. I listened to her upstairs in our bed, scrolling through her phone like nothing had happened, while I sat on the couch replaying every moment of our marriage. Every laugh, every I love you, every stupid Target run together, now it all felt like a lie. The next morning, I drove straight to my parents' house. My mom, Linda, opened the door and took one look at me and said, What's wrong, honey? That broke me. I hadn't cried since my grandpa died, but I lost it right there on the porch. I told them everything. The text. The iPad. The confrontation. My dad, Mark, went red in the face and muttered, That bitch, under his breath. My mom just hugged me and whispered, You didn't deserve this. My brother Tyler came over later and, being Tyler, tried to lighten the mood. Dude, she cheated with some guy named Jay Strong? Sounds like a creatine junkie from Planet Fitness. You can do better. I laughed for half a second, then it hit me again. My wife chose that guy over me. That thought ate me alive. I started obsessing over everything. Was he better looking? Was he better in bed? Did she laugh at my quirks with him behind my back? Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that hotel selfie. Her sprawled on the sheets, waiting for him. Madison, meanwhile, acted like I was the problem. She told her sister, Caitlin, that I was controlling and had trust issues. Suddenly, I was the villain in her narrative. She even had the audacity to say to my face, If you were more of a man, maybe I wouldn't have looked elsewhere. That line? It carved itself into my brain. I punched a hole in the drywall that night. I hated her. I hated Jay Strong. But most of all, I hated myself. Because deep down, I still loved her, and that disgusted me even more. The days after the confrontation were pure hell. Madison moved around the house like nothing happened, humming while she made coffee, talking about work, even asking if I wanted to plan a beach trip in the summer. Like, are you insane? You blew our marriage up, and now you want me to sit in a beach chair next to you pretending you didn't just spit on everything we built? One night, about a week after I found out, I walked into our bedroom. She was on her phone, lying on her stomach, feet in the air like a teenager. I said, "Are you still talking to him?" She didn't even flinch. Just kept scrolling. "Jake, I told you, it was a stupid mistake. Let it go already." Something in me snapped. I yanked the phone right out of her hand, and there it was. Still messaging Jay. New pics. New flirty comments. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't stopping. When I threw her phone on the bed, she actually laughed. Laughed. "God, you're pathetic," she said. "No wonder I had to find someone else." That was it. The final straw. I left the room, grabbed my keys, and drove with no destination in mind. I ended up at my brother Tyler's apartment, sitting on his crappy futon, shaking with rage. Tyler listened, then said, "Man, she's not even hiding it anymore. She doesn't respect you at all. You need to stop begging for scraps. If she wants to act like trash, treat her like trash. Cut her off. Get even." That word, even, stuck with me. I realized then that this wasn't just about heartbreak anymore. It was about dignity. About not letting Madison and her gym rat lover walk all over me like I was some clueless loser. So that night, I made a decision. I wasn't going to scream or beg or cry anymore. I was going to take control. I was going to find out exactly how deep her lies went. And then, when the time was right, I was going to make her regret ever thinking she could play me for a fool. The revenge seed was planted. After that night at Tyler's, something inside me flipped. The crying, the begging, the sleepless nights staring at the ceiling? Done. I wasn't going to let Madison walk all over me while I played the sad husband in the background. So I started paying attention. Really paying attention. First move, I checked our shared credit card statements. Bingo. Hotel charges at a Courtyard Marriott 2 towns over. A steakhouse dinner for 2 at 11 p.m. on a Thursday, the same Thursday she told me she was working late on a project. Next, I pulled our phone bill. Turns out she had been blowing up Jay Strong's number every day for weeks. Morning, lunch break, even while she was supposedly FaceTiming her sister. And then I hit the jackpot. Madison had this habit of never logging out of her email on the home computer. I sat down one morning while she was at yoga, probably code for meeting Jay, and there it was, a whole thread with her best friend Chloe. Chloe: "Girl, are you sure Jake won't find out?" Madison: "He's clueless. He actually thinks I'm stressed at work. LOL. Jay makes me feel alive again. I can't give that up just because Jake wants to play perfect husband." That one hurt more than the hotel charges. Reading her talk about me like I was some boring placeholder, like the years of loyalty, the sacrifices, the late nights I worked to pay for our life together, meant nothing. But I swallowed the pain and kept collecting. Screenshots. Printouts. Notes with dates, times, places. Tyler called me Sherlock Holmes with a vendetta. He wasn't wrong. The more I dug, the more disgusting it got. She wasn't just cheating, she was building a whole double life. Fake girls' trips. Secret lingerie stashed in her gym bag. Even telling her sister Caitlin that maybe she married too young. And that she and Jay had a connection Jake could never understand. I didn't confront her this time. Nope. I smiled when she got home. I kissed her cheek. I played the role of dumb husband while secretly building a case against her. Because now, it wasn't just about exposing her. It was about destroying her lies in one clean strike. A week into my little investigation, Madison must have sensed something was shifting. Maybe I wasn't snapping at her anymore, maybe the silence was louder than my anger. Either way, she suddenly flipped into sweet wife mode. One night she came downstairs in one of my old college hoodies, curled up next to me on the couch, and said in this soft voice, "Jake, I feel like we've been so distant. I don't want to lose you." I nearly laughed. This woman had been sneaking off to hotels with a meathead named Jay Strong, and now she wanted to play the role of doting wife. I didn't react. I just nodded. Yeah. Been a weird time. That cracked her a little. She reached for my hand and whispered, I made mistakes, okay? I was drunk. I was stressed. I just needed an escape. But I love you. You're my husband. You're my safe place. Safe place? The same woman who told her best friend I was boring and clueless? I pulled my hand back slowly. So you're saying it was just a mistake? Her eyes flickered. Yes. God, Jake, yes. One mistake. I don't even talk to him anymore. Lie. I'd literally seen her texting him that morning. Then she added the classic cheater line. If you can't forgive me, then maybe we're both to blame. Maybe you weren't giving me what I needed. There it was. The dagger. She wanted me to believe I pushed her into his arms. That her betrayal was some kind of shared responsibility. I kept my face calm, but inside, I was boiling. Not because she was lying, I already knew that. But because she thought I was dumb enough to buy it. I told her, we'll figure it out. Let's just take it slow. She kissed me then, all fake passion, like she was sealing a truce. But in my head, I was already picturing the day I'd lay all the evidence on the table. The hotel receipts, the screenshots, the texts. I wanted to see the exact moment her smirk cracked. By now, I had enough evidence to fill a binder. Screenshots of texts, hotel bills, email chains, even a photo of her and Jay together that a friend of mine snapped when he saw them at a mall 2 towns over. Madison thought she was slick, but she was about as subtle as a fire alarm. The question became, how do I use all this? Tyler was the first to throw out ideas. Dude, just blast her. Family group chat. Boom. Everyone sees the receipts. Tempting, but too easy. I wanted precision. Not just exposing her, but dismantling her entire story. The Jake is controlling narrative she'd been feeding people. So I started planning. Step 1, protect myself. I called my buddy Eric, who's a lawyer, and asked what I needed to do if I filed for divorce. He told me flat out. Document everything. Don't let her get to assets first. And whatever you do, don't lose your cool in public. Judges don't like angry men. Step 2, money. I quietly pulled her off my credit cards, put 2-factor authentication on my accounts, and froze the joint credit line she'd opened behind my back. Yes, I found that too. Spa days and Victoria's Secret trips on my dime. Step 3, exposure. This is where the fun came in. My sister Emily suggested I hit her where it hurts socially. She lives for appearances, Jake. You show people the truth, she'll crumble. So I decided I wouldn't just confront her alone again. No yelling match in the kitchen this time. No easy lies she could spin later. No, I was going to invite her whole family and mine over for a casual dinner. Then, once everyone was comfortable, I'd present the evidence. Calmly. Methodically. Let her lies unravel in front of the people whose approval she worshipped most. And the cherry on top? I'd make sure Jay's girlfriend, turns out he had one, knew too. Found her on Instagram. Sweet girl, looked totally unaware. I kept her number in my pocket like a bullet in the chamber. I didn't want just revenge. I wanted her mask ripped off. I wanted everyone to see Madison for what she really was, a selfish liar who threw away her marriage for a cheap thrill. The plan came together faster than I thought. Madison had been floating the idea of hosting a family night. Anyway, she loved playing the role of perfect wife in front of her parents and mine. So I leaned into it. Yeah, babe, that sounds good. I told her one night while she scrolled Pinterest for table settings. Let's do it next weekend. I'll grill, you make that pasta salad everyone loves. She lit up, like I just offered her front row Taylor Swift tickets. See? This is what we need, Jake. Normalcy. Normalcy. Right. I spent that week making my arrangements. I called my parents and my sister Emily, told them to come no matter what. I texted her parents too. Her dad's a stern, Old school guy. Her mom's the gossipy type who thrives on drama. Perfect audience. Meanwhile, Madison was in overdrive. She bought new curtains for the dining room, candles, even fresh flowers. She wanted everything to look picture perfect. She had no idea she was setting the stage for her own downfall. The night before, I sat with Tyler, going over the evidence one more time. He kept shaking his head. Dude, this is going to be nuclear. You sure you're ready? Ready? I said. I've never been more ready in my life. Saturday came. I mowed the lawn, set the table outside, played the role of dutiful husband. Madison flitted around in her sundress, laughing, sipping wine, glowing like she had nothing to hide. As the family started arriving, I kept it cool. Handshakes, hugs, burgers on the grill. Madison's mom complimented her on how happy and radiant she looked. I bit my tongue so hard it almost bled. Once everyone was seated, I stood up. My heart was pounding, but my voice came out calm. Before we eat, I said, raising my glass, I think it's important we all get on the same page about something. Madison looked up at me, confused smile plastered on her face. Jake? What are you doing? I smiled back. Just some honesty, babe. That's all. Then I set my folder of evidence on the table. Her smile vanished. You could hear a pin drop when I laid that folder on the table. Madison's hand froze mid-reach for her wine glass. What is that? She stammered. I didn't answer her directly. Instead, I opened the folder and pulled out the first printout, a screenshot of her text with Jay. I read it aloud. Can't stop thinking about your body last night. When's round 2? Gasps from around the table. Her mom's hand shot to her mouth. My dad muttered, Jesus Christ. Madison lunged across the table, trying to grab the paper. Jake! Stop it right now! But I was ready. I pulled out the hotel receipt next. Funny how you told me you were working late, Maddie. Guess work moved to the Marriott. Her dad, the hard ass, glared at her. Is this true? She started crying on command, those crocodile tears she always used when she wanted sympathy. It's not what it looks like. Jake's twisting everything. He's obsessed, he's paranoid. I cut her off by sliding the final photo across the table, her and Jay, arm in arm at the mall, grinning like idiots. Silence. Nobody moved. I leaned back, calm as hell. Paranoid, huh? Then explain that. Her mom whispered, Madison. Like her whole world had just cracked. Her dad slammed his hand on the table. You embarrassed this family. In front of everyone. Madison broke then. She started babbling. It was a mistake. I was lonely. Jake wasn't giving me attention. It meant nothing. But no one was buying it. My mom, usually the peacemaker, looked her dead in the eyes and said, Don't you dare blame my son for your choices. The worst part for Madison? That's when my sister Emily dropped the bomb. She'd already messaged Jay's girlfriend, and the girl texted back receipts of her own. So Emily pulled out her phone and read them aloud, messages where Jay admitted he was hooking up with a married woman, and laughing about how her husband has no idea. Her mask shattered completely. She sobbed, begged, pleaded, but nobody comforted her. And me? I just sat there. Calm. Steady. Watching the Queen of Lies get stripped down to nothing. After Emily finished reading those texts, the table was dead silent except for Madison's ugly sobs. I swear, it sounded less like regret and more like panic, like she was realizing her house of cards had finally collapsed. She tried one last Hail Mary. She stood up, mascara streaked down her face, and grabbed my arm. Jake, please. Don't do this. We can fix it. We can go to therapy, we can. I pulled my arm back. Calm. Steady. No yelling this time. You weren't crying when you were in that hotel room. You weren't thinking of fixing us when you sent him those pictures. You made your choice, Madison. And this is the consequence. Her dad stood up then, voice booming. Get your things. tonight. You're not staying under my roof until you clean up your mess. Even her own family was done with her. Madison turned to her mom for backup, but her mom wouldn't even look at her. My mom put a hand on my shoulder and whispered, "Let's go home, Jake." But I shook my head. No. I'm done here. I stood up, looked at the table, my family, her family, everyone who had just watched the facade crumble, and said, "For 6 years, I gave this woman everything. My loyalty, my trust, my love. She threw it away for some gym rat. I'm not her husband anymore. I'm just the guy who finally saw her for what she is." Then I left. No dramatics. No screaming. Just walked out into the night while she crumbled behind me. And that was the moment I knew I wasn't going to cry for her again. The fallout was immediate. Within 24 hours, everyone in our circle knew. My sister Emily didn't even have to spread it. Madison's mom called her church friends, and that wildfire spread faster than gasoline on a bonfire. Madison texted me nonstop the next few days. "Please, Jake, don't leave me. It didn't mean anything, I swear. I'll block him, I'll change my number, just tell me what you want." I didn't reply. Not once. Instead, I moved into Tyler's spare room while I filed papers with my lawyer buddy Eric. He walked me through everything: financial separation, asset protection, even alimony angles. Turns out, her little affair could cost her more than just her reputation. Meanwhile, Madison was unraveling. Her dad told me she showed up at their house 2 nights after the dinner, suitcase in hand, begging to stay. He slammed the door in her face. Her mom finally let her sleep on the couch, but only after saying, "You've embarrassed us enough. Don't drag us into this anymore." And Jay? Oh, Jay bailed on her instantly. His girlfriend dumped him, blasted him on social media, and he ghosted Madison within a week. She went from glowing and radiant in her sundress to a shell of herself, hiding behind sunglasses at the grocery store, avoiding eye contact with neighbors. My friends kept sending me screenshots of her vague Facebook posts. Sometimes people don't understand the whole story. Forgiveness is divine. Don't judge me until you've walked in my shoes. Pathetic. And me? I won't lie, I was wrecked. Nights were the hardest. I'd lie in Tyler's crappy futon, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything. Part of me wanted to drink myself numb. Part of me wanted to drive to her and scream in her face. But another part, the growing part, felt relief. Like finally, after months of lies, the poison had been drained. One night, Tyler caught me staring at an old photo of Madison and me at the beach. He said, "Bro, delete that crap. She's not your wife anymore. She's just a chapter. Close the book." And for the first time, I believed him. Even with Madison exposed and humiliated, the war inside my head didn't stop. If anything, it got louder. During the day, I was fine. I'd hit the gym with Tyler, grab beers with friends, bury myself in work. I could almost convince myself I was moving on. But at night? Different story. That's when the demons came out. I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling, and the questions would eat me alive. Was Jay better looking than me? Did she laugh harder at his jokes than she ever did at mine? Did she moan louder for him? It was like a loop I couldn't turn off. Every detail of what I saw on her iPad, every lie she told, replayed in my brain like some sick highlight reel. The worst was her voice, burned into me. "If you were more of a man, maybe I wouldn't have looked elsewhere." That line crushed me. I'd worked my ass off to give us a good life, the house, the vacations, the security. I thought I was being a good husband. But in her twisted narrative, all of that meant nothing because I wasn't exciting enough. Some nights I punched the pillow. One night, I put my fist through the drywall in Tyler's hallway. He didn't even get mad, just patched it up and said, "Better the wall than your soul, bro." But deep down, I knew I had 2 choices. 1. Let Madison's betrayal define me forever. 2. Or turn it into the fuel I needed to rebuild myself from the ashes. I wasn't there yet. I was still in the storm, still bleeding from wounds she left. But slowly, a thought began to form. Maybe revenge wasn't about destroying her anymore. Maybe it was about proving to myself that I was never the problem. That I could be better, stronger, without her. That thought kept me from drowning. The shift didn't happen overnight, but one morning I woke up and realized I was tired of being that guy, the sad, betrayed husband everyone whispered about. I didn't want Madison's betrayal to be the headline of my life anymore. So I started small. I joined a boxing gym with Tyler. At first, I was just flailing around, hitting the bag like it was Jay's smug face. But after a few weeks, my punches got sharper, my body started changing, and for the first time in months, I felt powerful. Like I was taking pieces of myself back. I also picked up guitar, something I'd always wanted to do but never had time for, because I was too busy making sure Madison was comfortable. My fingers bled, my chords sounded like dying cats, but it was mine. My own progress, my own noise. I reconnected with old friends I'd drifted from because Madison always complained they were immature, or a bad influence. Turns out they were just normal people she didn't want around because they saw through her fake act. Hanging with them felt like breathing fresh air after living in a smoke-filled room. And then there was therapy. My mom practically begged me to go, and honestly, best decision I ever made. My therapist didn't sugarcoat it. Jake, she betrayed you because she's selfish. Not because you're unworthy. Not because you're boring. That's on her. Stop carrying her sins on your back. That hit me like a freight train. I'd been blaming myself for months, but hearing someone spell it out made me realize I wasn't broken. I'd been loyal, faithful, giving. Madison was the one who burned it all down. Slowly, the nightmares got quieter. The anger cooled. The wall punching stopped. And in its place? A strange new feeling, hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, I could build a life that wasn't defined by her betrayal. A life where I wasn't Jake who got cheated on, but just Jake, stronger, smarter, freer. It's been 6 months since D-Day, and if you told me back then I'd feel this way now, I'd have laughed in your face. Madison's completely out of my life. Divorce papers went through clean, thanks to the pile of evidence I'd gathered. She tried to fight for half the house. My lawyer shut that down fast. Last I heard, she's renting some crappy apartment by herself, job hopping, and posting healing journey quotes on Instagram. Jay ditched her long ago, of course. Karma's got her on speed dial. Me? I've got my own place now. It's small, but it's mine. No lies echoing through the walls. No pretending. Just peace. The gym became my sanctuary. I dropped 20 pounds, packed on muscle, and even Tyler admits I could probably floor him now. Guitar's still a work in progress, but I can play a couple of songs without making the neighbors file a noise complaint. And therapy? It's not just fixing me, it's building me into someone I never thought I could be. Here's the wildest part. I don't even hate Madison anymore. Hate kept me alive in the beginning, but it's exhausting carrying that weight forever. Now I just feel indifferent. She's a ghost. A lesson carved into my past. Nothing more. I still have scars, don't get me wrong. Trust won't come easy in the future. But those scars don't make me weak. They remind me I survived. So here's my advice to anyone reading this who's in the same pit I was. Don't blame yourself for someone else's betrayal. Don't beg liars to change, they won't. Protect yourself, gather proof, and leave with dignity. And most importantly, rebuild for you, not to prove anything to them. Because one day, you'll wake up and realize you don't even care what they're doing. You'll be too busy living. And that day? That's when you know you've won. I have many other stories. Go to my channel, subscribe so you don't lose us. Give me a thumbs up.